Oh, well, hello everybody. Hey, it's been a while since I've done an office video on a Sunday, or at least it feels like I have. I've just been very busy, and I didn't want to sit down and record a video that was just talking rubbish, which is pretty much what they would have been, and what they normally are. But I did want to make a quick video today, just really because the last video where I shot this image was such a disaster, because it went really badly. If you watch the video, you'll see that the whole thing fell apart towards the end, and I thought I would just briefly explain what happened, and maybe if you have a YouTube channel or you'll think of starting a YouTube channel, then yeah, maybe you can learn from my mistakes. But basically what happens is, most of the time when I go out and shoot images and record a video, I know what I'm looking for. You know, I'm going to shoot this image and then maybe this image. There's a bit of a story because I've got to hike 8 miles to get there, or it's raining, or whatever. There's always a story. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a couple of pictures in between, and it's all in my head, and it's all going well. But every now and again, I go out to make a video and to shoot some images, and the video side just completely falls apart, because sometimes it feels like there's no story, sometimes it feels either too easy or too boring or whatever. And that's exactly what happened last week when shooting this. There was no real story to tell, I felt anyway, because there was no big hike. You know, it was a sunrise shoot, so it was dark, so there was no real story to tell in the morning. But anyway, what happened was I was shooting this composition, and this was the only composition that I could find down by this lake. So the video was pretty much me setting up my camera and just taking one image without much thought. You know, I didn't really have a lot to say, and the light wasn't great either. So I got my first image, which was like a 1:20 exposure, and I really liked that image and I thought it was fantastic. When I took that image, I was thinking to myself, am I done here? This isn't enough for a video. This is just me coming down and taking one quick photograph and then leaving. So I decided to hang around, and then I shot another. Basically, I continued to shoot the same composition, but I wasn't happy with any of the images other than the first one that I showed in the video. That was the one I was happy with. Anything sort of, any test shots before that or any shots after that I wasn't happy with. So now I'm sort of stood in the middle of a field thinking to myself, I'm tired, I'm cold, I've got wet feet. Yes, I've got an image I'm happy with, but I certainly don't have a video that I'm happy with, because there was no story, there was nothing to tell, there was no other compositions for me to go and find, nothing for me to teach really, because it was just a simple, fairly broad landscape shot, nothing really that technical. So by this point, as the sun started to rise, I'd completely lost the plot. And I don't mean lost the plot as in gone insane, I mean literally lost the plot of the video. I didn't know what was going on. So I was talking rubbish, and I thought, you know what, I can't be bothered. I'm tired, let's just leave it there. So I started to pack everything away. I packed away my camera, packed away my video gear, and then this happened. And basically what happened is the sun was up, the sun was coming up, but something changed in the air and the mist started to blow into the scene that you can see just here. And just that one element of the mist, and of course the light hitting the trees, it took a while for the light to really catch on those trees. As soon as the mist happened, in combination with the light, then it just changed everything. And my priority at that point was to get the shot, because normally what I'll do is I'll get the shot, make sure I'm happy with it, and I think, yeah, this is good, and then I'll film a bit of B-roll and do a quick piece to camera most of the time. So in this instance, I'm absolutely frantically setting up my tripod, putting my camera back, setting everything back up basically, because I'd packed away. And I managed to fire off 2 bracketed exposures, and I'm going to show you. I'll show you my Photoshop file in a minute, just briefly. We're not going to do an edit. I just want to show you how I've constructed this image, because maybe you'll learn something from that. There's a nice little thing I like to do in Photoshop with shots like this. So yeah, I'm photographing this, and I'm thinking, right, now we've got an image I'm really happy with. We've got 2 images. the story is back on. Apart from that mist that you can see there, that wasn't there to stay. That was, the wind picked up, as you can see by the ripples in the water, and all the mist that was on the bottom of the lake literally got blown across the lake. And then that was it. There was no more mist. So this mist that you can see here, that got blown through my composition, and I saw it coming. That got blown through my composition. I had just enough time to whack everything back on, get the shot, get a second bracketed shot, and then away it sailed. Away it sailed. And you can see that actually by looking at the two images, I believe. So this is the first exposure. This is the bright exposure, and you can see a good bit of mist. But then I believe I took a second darker exposure to expose for those highlights. And look at the mist. It's almost halved in volume. And then 5 seconds later, 10 seconds later, poof, it was gone. So now I'm stood there in a field thinking, okay, well, the image looks good, although it's always hard to tell on the back of your camera, you know, the sun. I wasn't sure because technically these are always difficult images to shoot. But there we had it. There we had the mist, but of course the mist had gone. And I'm thinking, okay, well, should I finish the video? Is it worth it? And you got to remember by this point I was very tired and very cold with wet feet. So I thought, oh no, that misty picture probably won't even work out anyway. But it wasn't until I got here to the edit suite that I realized that actually the image I really like. So what I'm going to do is let me just show you the file in Photoshop, because I haven't done a great deal to it, but I have done one thing. Hang on. Okay, so this, as mentioned, is the exposure for the shadows, or, you know, most of the image apart from the top left corner that was completely blown out. And then I took a second exposure to expose for these clouds here, which weren't blown out. And then all I did, let me open this photograph for you in Photoshop. So all I did was paint in the sky. So this here, you can see there's detail in the clouds. I've not overdone it. It doesn't look fake. It doesn't look HDR, but I've just pulled back the detail in those clouds, and the same down here in this bottom left corner. So let me see if I can show you the mask. Yeah, so that's it. Those black areas are where I've sort of painted through the exposure beneath. So beneath is the darker exposure. So 95% of this image is just a single shot, but I had to deal with those that bright top left corner and bright bottom left corner. And then, now here's the little trick that I've done. I've added this layer here, layer 1. So this is a lens flare on a black background, and the reason that I put my lens flares onto a black background is so that I can manipulate them, stretch them, turn them, twist them, because if you put it straight onto an image, straight onto a layer of your photograph, you're stuck. The lens flare will go onto your photograph, you're stuck, you can't do anything. But by putting it on a black layer and then changing the blend mode to screen, we've now got a lens flare that we can blur. We can, look, I'll show you, we can move it around just like this, bringing it in and out. And that's what, it just gives you way more flexibility. So what I did is I added this lens flare in the top left corner. I mean, to be honest, it's fine without the lens flare. This is fine, but I just love that ethereal look. So bring in the lens flare, that's way too harsh. I think I had the opacity at 24%, which sort of softens it. Now if we look at the lens flare, you see it's very, very subtle, just a little bit there. You see that just gives it that ethereal look. It almost just enhances the mist. And then the second thing I've added is a photo filter. And the photo filter here, which is the warming filter, I've got that all the way to 100%, but it's only applying the filter to the layer with the lens flare. Because, bear with me, the lens flare, by its very nature, is very magenta-y, bluey. It's it gives a cool, cold, bluey lens flare. And the image is warm, it's sunrise, it's golden. So what I've done is I've just added the warming filter to the lens flare purely to warm up the lens flare. So there we go. This is the this is the shot, the final image, and let me just remove the lens flare, and there you go. So it doesn't add a great deal. I don't think it changes or manipulates the scene in any way, but what it does is it gives it that something you can't put your finger on. And that, I believe what that is doing is it's enhancing the mist, it's enhancing the side light coming through, and it's just giving the whole image a bit more of a washed out kind of dreamy feel. And yeah, there you go. That's pretty much the image and how I've put it together. It didn't take me long. I reckon it took me about 6 minutes to put together this final photograph. So really happy with it. And I'm just disappointed that I didn't have the foresight to be able to do like a well-rounded video. I managed to cobble it together with a bit of voiceover at the end if you watch the video. So yeah, there we go. I just wanted to, well really, I wanted to record a video here in my office. I've not done one for ages, and I just wanted to maybe give a little bit more background, you know, on last week's video, which went pretty badly, but with great results photographically. So there we go, it's not all bad. Next video is good. I hope you'll enjoy the next video. It's the complete opposite of everything you've seen in the past month. So it's all about intimate, textured, detailed shots at your feet. Oh, go on, don't be deep, don't be deep, don't be deep. All right, so we'll forget everything that I've just said, but at the bottom half of the image, well, you can't see anything, it's just black. So then I'll bring the polarizer back round just to bring back the reflection of the treetops. So yeah, check that out. But now I'm going to leave you. We are not far from autumn, and I am very, very excited because for the first time in a few years, I am actually here, home in the UK during the peak autumn period. So keeping my fingers crossed for some good weather and good light, and I'll be doing lots of road tripping here in the UK. So thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a good Sunday, and I'll see you all on Wednesday. All right, bye for now.